Gaming Geek here with a quick tutorial on how to paint up the Sisters of Battle. These just came out in stores and I picked up this Battle Sister squad, and I am going to be showing you how to paint up the Order of the Sacred Rose, which is funny because Miniac just came out with his own painting tutorial as well. Mine is a speed painting tutorial, and so if you want a lot more detail, you should check out his video instead of mine. I needed to get these out on the table for a battle report, and so needed to get these done as quickly as possible, and so I wasn't worried about many details, but using contrast colors for some speed painting. I also have a bonus here where I painted up my command squad with black pink colors. That is a girl band that I am basing my squad off of for the game Starbreach. So if you haven't seen my video reviewing Starbreach, go ahead and click here and you can check that out. But let's go ahead and dive right into the tutorial. I'm swapping in the Sector Imperialis bases because I think they're actually faster to paint up, and so I spray paint them with a silver spray paint, and then you can use any sort of medium brown, and I'm using Reaper here Intense Brown, and covering all of the spots that might be dirt, and that'll contrast nicely with all of the steel plating and steel bits that are on these bases. And I'm not too concerned about the sides because later on I'm going to be painting the sides all black, so I'll really just be concerned about painting these spots where it's showing on top. Next, you can either use Citadel's Nuln Oil or Army Painter's Dark Tone. If you haven't seen my video comparing these different washes, go ahead and click here and you can check that out. But I put some drops here and just use a brush to spread it around, and I do this with all of the bases. It's pretty easy, and again, I do not go back and do any highlighting or anything like that because we are doing this as quickly as possible. After the base is dry and you glue them onto the base, now you're going to use Apothecary White and go over basically all of the armor that is on the Sisters of Battle. And it's going to be a little bit hard to see here in the video because of the contrast of the camera, but this gives it a nice, real subtle shade, which I think is really hard to get on white. And so this Apothecary White is one of my favorite colors to use with anything that is white. Next, use Army Painter's Flesh Wash or Guilliman Flesh from Citadel, and pretty much we're just going to be dabbing it onto the faces. This is Guilliman Flesh, and it's going to be a little bit darker than the Flesh Wash from Army Painter, which I am using here. It's relatively light. And again, I don't go back and do any highlighting. This is pretty much it for the faces. Go ahead and grab your favorite silver, and you're going to go ahead and do this piping that is around the neck area, as well as all of the insignia and the gun. Blood Angels Red is next, and you're going to be doing basically the caping as well as the arms. I know the chapter approved colors for this area is black, but I think the red actually looks better, and that's why I'm using the red color. Also, the secret to using contrast colors for large areas like this cape is to keep everything wet and don't let any section dry, or else you'll get a line where the wet paint and the dry paint come together. Grab some gold, and we're going to go ahead and do these jewelry parts, sort of these eyes that are hanging down, and get some of the chain of that. So paint that up, as well as just some parts on some of the guns, as well as the insignia that might be on the back. And so you can sort of pick and choose which parts you want to be silver and which parts you want to be gold. It's entirely up to you. But I like making most of the things on the shoulders to be silver, and then some of these other parts to be gold. Go ahead and grab your dark wash, and we're going to go over most of the silver parts that you painted already, especially the insignia, and this just helps it stick out a little bit more, especially since it's on a white background. And you're going to need quite a bit to also do the wings in particular on the shoulder pad, and as well go over the gun too. And I actually go over the gold parts as well with this Nuln Oil. Now we're going to use the Black Templar and pretty much do the parts of the gun, and this is entirely optional what gun color you want, whether or not parts of it, like I'm doing here, are going to be black, or if you want the whole thing just to be silver. Also, I do the hair, and there is a way to basically load up your brush so that the bottom part of the hair is darker than the top part, and it takes a little bit of practice doing that, but for the most part, most of these units are going to have black hair. And then I do the piping again around the neck that I did silver earlier on, just to darken that up. And pretty much this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to grab my black craft paint because I use so much of it with both white and black. I just use craft paint, and we're going to go ahead and just edge the base with black to wrap things up, and this pretty much is done. So here the models are on the turntable, and I think they turned out pretty good. Definitely tabletop ready. If I wanted to do a better job, I would go back and do some highlighting, especially around the red caping, as there is very little shading that is present. But as I said before, this is getting them to the table as fast as possible, and I'm pretty happy with how they look, especially from the tabletop. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. Let's go ahead and move on to doing the alternative pink and a black color. This is the pink I'm using since I already had it, and it's craft paint, and I'm pretty much replacing all of the white on the other models with this pink color. And what I'm going to use is this red tone from Army Painter, and basically going to go over all of the pink. Now, I did consider making my entire army this black and pink color, but decided to go ahead and go with sort of your stock Order of the Rose white with the basic grunts, and having my command units stand out a little bit more with this pink. Also, this K-pop band is going to fit in well with my narrative for Starbreach campaign, and so I'm pretty excited about that. So I am painting up all of these. And there's actually a fourth member, but she is going to be a mech, and so I still need to paint that up, and you'll see her later. We're going to do silver in all of the places that we did with the other models, and with the exception of the commander obviously having a sword, but pretty much go through and do all the insignia and all the parts that we did before with silver. You're also going to do that with the gold, and so go through and grab some of the insignia and do the gold as well. Then you're going to go ahead and use Nuln Oil or Dark Shade and do a wash with all of the metallics that you just put down. And then also you're going to use the Black Templar for all the parts that were red on the other models. I did decide to use some of the Blood Angels red for the banding. Again, do 2 coats of black around the edge of the base, and then you can wrap things up by putting on any decals that you want. So here you go with 3 out of the 4 members of Blackpink composing my army commanders. Please subscribe and like this video if you want to check out how I continue to make up my squad, and especially once I start doing my battle reports, you can follow along the fun narrative that is coming up playing Starbreach. So thanks again for watching. Happy gaming and a happy painting. We'll see you next time.